Mr. Pospalakis?
Here.
Mr. Mayara?
Here.
Ms. Ramsey? Ms. Miller? Ms. Cantrell? Mr. Newman?
Here.
Mr. Chapin?
Here.
Ms. Powell?
Here.
Okay. We passed the approval of the minutes for February 8th, 2017.
I make a motion.
I second it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passed. We're going to pass now to the election of the vice chair. Since our last, we couldn't come up with a final decision, we're going to pass to the vice chair.
Question. Do
Yes,
we
sir.
still nominate anybody?
We still have the,
Yes, still.
You can still nominate, take nominations.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to nominate Teresa.
okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, Amy is seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, it's approved. Teresa is the vice chair. Thank you. Now, we have our police report. Please.
Good evening, everyone. Just going to give you guys a rundown of the statistics here and have a brief kind of update on some issues. Right now, the district overall, year-to-date from January 1st to March 4th, is down 12% overall for Part 1 crimes. We are down 63% in auto thefts. We're down 30% in burglaries, down 11% in larcenies. We're up 43% in robberies, and we are up 17% in aggravated assaults. We are down 67% in sexual batteries. That's really, like I said, that equates to 12% down as total. I apologize if I'm kind of stumbling here. I'm not feeling all that well today. I just wanted to, again, like we did before, if you guys have concerns you need me to look into, I would like to know about those. Some of the things I just wanted to update you guys on, I don't know if the board knows, but the police department is down 31 positions currently for police officers. That obviously has created a staffing issue, and it's been ongoing for quite a while. We have put in our strategic planning for the year goals to reduce that number. That's very difficult to do when you're down 31 positions. It really is looking like we'll probably have to hire somewhere in excess of 41 people to be able to fill those spots while accommodating attrition and all that. In addition to that being an issue that we're working through, we're also focusing on trying to come up with a plan to implement or to deploy some more units in the area surrounding the boardwalk, kind of more away from the boardwalk, the Ocean Avenue area, like we had kind of talked about in the past. I'd like to, hopefully somewhere in the future, look at getting some more units back on the boardwalk directly as well during the day. Does anybody have any concerns or questions for the district?
Yeah. Any board member have any questions? I have a couple of questions, but anybody else has?
I have a couple
Please,
of questions.
go ahead, please.
By that. You're saying you want to get more people to get down to the boardwalk?
Officer, yeah, that's what I was referring to. Yeah.
Being that our tourist season is coming up, don't you think that we got to make sure that happens?
Yeah, we're already deploying for like the events. We have already a system in place where we're deploying units. Like we have around-the-clock coverage for the boardwalk through Bike Week and on past that into spring break. In addition to that, we beef that up. We normally have four bicycle units that operate in the district, but predominantly around the boardwalk area. But for Bike Week, for example, we have 2 separate bike units that work the Beach Street area, so those units won't be pulled away for that. And then we have additional units like our SROs. They're not in school that week, so they'll be assisting us down on a couple of them down on the boardwalk and on the Beach Street area as well.
That's it. Let me ask you a question. You said you're going to hire 41.
Well, that's
I just want to ask, is that a part-time just for the special event?
No. That. What I'm saying is that we, as a whole,
Yeah.
our agency is down 31 positions.
Short, you're 31 short.
Yeah, and in order to be able to actually fill 31 positions, you have to hire more than that.
More than
because
that.
People will fail out of training and different things like that.
Let me ask, did you hire any part-time for a special event?
Currently we're always hiring full-time or part-time. For those of you who are not directly, kind of in the law enforcement field, almost all law enforcement agencies, especially in this area, are short-staffed, and that means they're constantly hiring full-time people. So we're attempting to hire full-time people as well to fill our shortages, but we're also trying to hire part-time to fill those roles that we use them for, like traffic control, personal transport, things like that. The problem is that there's such a vacuum created by all the lack of or availability of full-time positions that there's not a big pool to pull from for part-time positions because people are not wanting a part-time job. They're wanting a full-time job if they can get it. Yeah.
My understanding, the 31 positions, a lot of them were the hired that retired. A lot of the officers retired. That's where it put a big vacuum.
Yeah. Over the last several years, and it's not something just
it's
not special just to Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
This is law enforcement throughout the state at least, where there's just the way things worked out. People started retiring at such a rate during a period of time that it just created that issue. Yeah. So we're working towards, we've been beefing up our recruiting efforts and our training efforts to be able to increase the numbers that we're drawing in, and then also increase the production, the quality of production of the employee, as well as the reduce the time that it takes.
No, because I was asked a question at least 5 times this week: is the police department set up for this special event? I know you guys are short 31 people.
Yeah, we're set up as far as we have. The only vacancies we currently have is we haven't filled all of our roles for Friday and Saturday for the Seabreeze venue.
Yes.
But I suspect, even as I was on my way here, 2 of those spots filled. So that's you're looking about 3 spots down. And if we don't fill those, we'll be able to supplement them with other resources that, as we kind of move people from the other venues, whether it be from Beach Street, from Main Street, the M&B venue from the other district, stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Captain. Thank you.
I know you guys called me up at the end last time. I need to go. So
Not
is
a
there
problem.
anything else anybody needs?
Not a problem, sir.
All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Captain. Thank you. We have Mr. Berger for redevelopment project update, please.
All right. Going to start you off with the Daytona Beach Convention Hotel. Both the hotel and the condos are now in progress in terms of site improvements. They're making out there. They'll be working on foundation, and that is permitted. And in 2.5 years, that hotel will be completed. So they're continuing to make progress out there, and we're hopeful that at the end of the day we'll see everything, the whole package. So we'll keep an eye on that one. The Streamline Hotel. And by the way, I got to mention on the 4th corner, because 3 corners are going to be part of the Proto Group Hotel development. The 4th corner has currently an old convenience store in there. Convenience store is permitted to be there as a use. So we've been working with the property owner that's coming in as a 7-Eleven. And so we're going to be seeing some significant upgrades in terms of the site improvements, the layout of the parking, so that we'll get a number of things taken care of with ADA requirements and cleanup of the building overall. So we're looking forward to those changes to clean up that property. And that includes that sign that's there. That'll come down. There'll be a monument sign there. In fact, while we were out there the other day, the IHOP sign was almost literally falling down, and they had it down within about 2 hours from the time we were out there. So people are cooperating. They're trying to get things done. The Streamline Hotel is still planning on opening on April 1st, so that's kind of exciting for everybody. The Kemp Street project that would correspond to it, which would include some of the surrounding streets in there, is still in progress in terms of the work that they have to do with the engineering. There's a big wood pole out there on Ocean Avenue, and if you haven't been watching us at the commission meetings, that is very interesting, as some of you know. It appeared out of nowhere. It was surreal looking because it's over 100 feet high. It's was built actually for a cell tower. And so what was expected to be maybe just another wood utility pole somewhere in the breakdown in communication, it ended up being this something no one had ever anticipated or seen before. So that's all gotten cleaned up in terms of putting a moratorium in place by the City Commission. We've asked for those poles to be removed by the company. They've got equipment up there, telecom equipment, and it would not be wise for us to be the ones trying to pull those poles back down. So we're asking for the cooperation of the telecom people to bring it all back down. The East ISB FDOT proposal, we talked about that coming up with an opportunity over the Peninsula Club. That meeting did take place. There were a significant number of people out there, and whether you're arguing about whether or not traffic circles are a good idea or what have you, there was a lot of comment that DOT received with respect to every one of the three alternatives that were presented. And there were only three. And from that, they'll be coming back with some design, but we don't know what that will be. In the meantime, associated with that effort to try to do something there in ISB, there is a work that's been done at the TPO to try to get the financial part of this figured out in terms of how it's going to get funded, what pot of money is going to be utilized. And at this point, we have an understanding that right now we have about $750,000 of some of our capital money that we're going to be putting aside from the CRA. It's already there. It's budgeted in our East ISB capital account, but to commit it specifically for the purposes of starting the design process, so that this can be a state-funded project, not a federal project, and one that we can begin very quickly. And so that's the goal, and we just don't know exactly what that design will be. And we'll be anticipating something coming out later. But in the meantime, next Wednesday, I still expect there'll be an agenda item that will deal with the fact that we're going to make our commitment for beginning the funding for the design and be a partner with DOT. The Ocean Center parking lot expansion, that is hit the paper recently, and I would say that staff was getting the information late in the game here about what was going on. So, in other words, City Hall was not getting the calls ahead of time and, hey, we want to do a project. And I just want to clarify that our role in what happened here was to actually reach out. Unfortunately, when we were getting the information and had our communication, it was the morning of the county's meeting. And we the purpose of the call was simply to say, hey, did you know, there are some issues associated with this we want to just bring to your attention as you're going forward. And at that point, I believe action had already been taken in that morning. So what I know now is a lot of things were said in the or stated in the paper. I'm not sure why some of it's said, but I just think not everybody has all the information. And so we'll be meeting with county staff and working with them so that we can go through some kind of a process that I think we'd all expect anyway to actually make improvements for a parking lot in that area.
If you're talking about the piece of property on Main Street,
Right.
it's a done deal.
Understand there might be some kind of a done deal, but in the done deal we have a process because now those are vacant lots, they're not parking lots, and whatever happens in going forward is something that has to go through our requirements for a site plan review of whatever's intended and meet the land development code requirements.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Will that, as a large project like that, will that come before this board? And then planning and so on?
The way that the process works right now, for if it's a semi-public use and it's an amendment of the permit that they had for the initial Ocean Center and the expansion and the parking, the answer is that would typically not come through this board. At least that's my understanding for a public use or semi-public use permit. It's a different process that is going to end up with the city commission. Mm-hmm. But we'll see what transpires. As we're looking into it right now. Mm-hmm. We got to go back and read the particulars that are in there in a long time ago. So we're still doing some research, and then we intend to sit down in the next during this next week and figure out where we go next.
Okay. Will that research be made public?
Research.
Or do we need to do it ourselves? Do I need to go and look through the LDC and see what's allowable, or will you share that research with us?
Well, sure. You can go through the Land Development Code. We all can look at.
But if you're doing it, will you share it with us?
Yeah. Well, we know our code. What we don't know is what was made, what all the agreements are that we're going back in the years for a public use agreements that created the Ocean Center. So you got to go back to the original documents. You need to read, what is in there, and then we'll have that discussion. But
okay, because I would hesitate to say it's a done deal.
Hesitate
Yeah.
not.
As an amendment to an earlier agreement, that should go through the planning board, though, right?
Typically, it goes
Through the planning board.
Goes through the planning board,
and then to the commission from there.
Again, the Land Development Code changed, and I just want to make sure before I do anything that we're sitting down. We have not had the opportunity to really sit down, the planners and everyone else, and establish a process. And part of that will be a discussion with the county staff so that we can get on the same page, if you will, about where we go from here. So my point is, it's about the two governments are cooperating and have been cooperating in the past on any other project, and this is no different. This one just kind of came up at the last minute, and a lot was made of it, and a lot to do about nothing, quite frankly. This is about, okay, you've got an idea and a project. Let's go through and see how that fits, and we'll work together with the county to assist them as we would anybody else who's trying to develop in the community.
So the actual sale will probably wait until the city commission has approved the use.
That'll be the county's call on how they want to proceed. Okay? The last thing I had on my list was the Main Street kiosk, and so Helen Rigger has and her staff have been working at trying to improve it, and so they've got keys. I think that was always just drive us crazy because where'd the keys go? And And this is because it was in bad shape and it needed work. We replaced the plexiglass and the other things on the street there. So not only here, but on Seabreeze had the same issue. So Main Street is done now, the plexiglass and the keys, everything else is ready to go. Inside, Peabody has some really neat stuff out there. Bandshell will have some information. There'll be also a Main Street directory. We've just been working on that. That's getting put together to be placed in there as well, because that's just part of what we're doing with the Shriners coming here and making sure that when some of these large events are here, that we have a better product in the future, which is really nothing right now. So when you want to, where are all these restaurants? Where do you go? So part of that is just not only Main Street, but talking about the other places that are nearby in the Main Street area, because there's a lot of places that go beyond that. So there'll be some additional directional information, so people can kind of go beyond Main Street in that area over to ISB, or if they're going to go over to Seabreeze. So there's that, but this is really intended to be something that can be handed out and provided to the hotels and others, so that we get into the promotion business, which we do on Beach Street, and we're simply using part of that model to try to do that here. That is it right now for my report. We're still working on a lot of other projects, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Berger?
Well,
Go ahead.
I have several. I'm sure he's going to be involved with some of them. But that might be board member comments.
Okay.
I don't know when that comes.
We have any public comment? No. Did you fill up your? Did you fill up a? Please, if you want to do.
Can I talk it right at the same time? I can do that. Thank you, Mr. Berger. Johnny Ponder, 885 Mailey, Daytona Beach. Reed, my question is to you. I think Amy asked about will the citizens be able to follow along as you do this Ocean Center expansion? Can you kind of answer that? Because you didn't answer it before.
Go ahead, please.
About the Ocean Center expansion, do you follow along?
We want to know about the study. When you do the study, we want a copy of it.
There's not a study. We're going to just look. We'll look at background documents before we get in a meeting. I mean, we don't typically
we want to
produce.
Know about what you come up with. That's what we're asking.
Well, that will happen after we've had the meetings and we get in front of. This comes back to a public body, whether it's at the county or the city level.
Okay.
Okay.
You still didn't answer it, but okay.
Well, that's the process.
I know.
Okay. Nobody else? Now we have a board comment, please. Anybody has questions? Mr. Newman.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to iterate that an amendment to a previous agreement would go to the planning board. So if you just watch the planning board, when they put out their agenda, they will put out all of that research. They will have a really full report. Some of you have read the agendas for the planning board. They are pretty complete reports on findings. So watch for that coming to the planning board. The agenda comes out only about a week before the meetings. But just keep your eye on those and look for it, and that should give you the information you want to get. And then be at that planning board meeting if you have something that you want to say about it.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Newman. That was a good. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Am I on? Something that it's a little bit of a difficult subject, but I think I can ask it because I know the person that I'm asking it about would probably want me to ask this question. In the CRA rules, I don't know, how long do we wait to fill a board position when a board member has an illness or a long-term something that it may be a long time before they return. That's my first
You want to go
question.
ahead and answer that? And I think she's talking.
I'm speaking about Ms. Ramsey,
Yeah, Ms. Ramsey,
and
yes.
It's
Well,
difficult.
It's a good
to say.
question.
Yes.
I don't know how long we wait. We have vacant positions before that where it takes some time before we're going to go back and refill a position. So that will really be a question I can put back before the city manager, because he'll make the decision what goes on the agenda.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would recommend before we have something that we actually have to vote on, you can ask him, of course, but we do have, applicants from the previous round that are ready to go. And 2 of them are actually in this room right now. So, and the reason I'm comfortable saying this is because I know Suzanne, and I think she would be okay with me asking that question. And she, it's probably going to be a while before she returns to us. So, in the interest of the board and voting and things like that, I think it's worth consideration. I will email him the same, if that's okay.
Okay.
Regarding Kemp Street, I had asked about seeing some plans, but I guess there isn't really anything we can look at yet. As far as I know, you said the count from from Ocean Avenue to the beach is Volusia County, so I don't know who's working on that. And then for the other section, we don't have any visuals yet.
No, this is just engineering work on
The street
infrastructure.
and all. Okay,
Right.
cool. Now, from Coates to Grandview, you had said that would require some property acquisition. That large property that was for sale by Katona for a long time has changed. It's either changed hands or it's with a different broker now. And the price is way down from where it was. And I'm sure you're already aware of this. You got your ear to the street. But if we need a segment of that on Kemp Street, now is a good time to approach the realtor or the owner about what we might need going forward if there are plans to widen Kemp Street. That's a terrible corner. I see trucks going around there, and they go and they try to it's like going around the end of an arrow. So it might be worth looking into. Anyway, no plans on doing that, or
Typically when somebody's trying to sell their property, and when there's no completed contract and somebody has acquired the property, it's usually not something that when it's not required to be a part of the sale, you usually don't want to add some additional complication or cloud on it by trying to have another transaction with the current owner. So
Okay.
we really at this point will and this is in terms of priorities down the road, but what happens, particularly if somebody's going to buy it and has a purpose to redevelop it, is the best opportunity to have land actually dedicated, as opposed to go and even have to buy it and accomplish that as a part of what somebody's trying to do.
like a package deal. And you'd say,
If you can, that's one way to do it. And
Okay.
so I think our preference is to let whatever transactions might be occurring right now to go through.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I spoke to Commissioner White about standards in the E-zone and the CRA about, I know we talked about colors and signage, and I just want to stress again, because there isn't anything in there about colors. There is something in there about intensity of colors, but I would really love somebody with some kind of a design eye to see that we're at a point now where we're, in 10 years, we're going to see a lot of things that happened between now and then. And if they have some sort of cohesive design, colors, not all the same color, but, now's a good time to look at that. So if we don't have anything like that in the E-zone plan, maybe it's something we would consider. And, as buildings are starting to get refurbished and painted, it'd be nice if they were, kind of beachy colors. I know I mentioned that. I might mention it every time I'm up here. I don't know. But, you know, I don't even know where to go with that. But that's a wish of mine. Now, as far as the property next to Bad Boys that Volusia County is thinking about purchasing, I'm just going to speak my 2 cents about that. I think to lose that property as far as the tax, you know, the tax base, the CRA, we're trying to raise that, you know, we're trying to get that, I don't know all the terms, but the tax money, you know, the tax base needs to go up for the CRA to have any money. And to give that away is kind of crazy, I think. And then there's a property right behind it, a huge flat parking lot that Volusia County owns. That when we were at the Peabody for Citizens Academy, they said, "Oh, we're desperate for parking. We're desperate for parking." And there's this huge parking lot right there that the Peabody can't use because the Peabody City, and that's Volusia County. So where do we start negotiating a little bit better and get something for us? I talked to Kelly a long time ago about that as a site because I just come up with crazy ideas and you throw it out there. Why not? That's a perfect place in my mind. Somebody won't like it, but for a parking garage. It's not blocking anyone's view. It's accessible to Main Street, Peabody, Ocean Center. And she says, well, parking garages are very expensive, $14,000 a slot. Well, for $1 million, you can get 71 spots, I think I figured out, at that price, okay? You go up a couple more, you're charging, you can, and I think when I talked to her that time, I did a few calculations. I'm not real great at math, but it came out to be like a matter of just a couple of years at X amount of dollars per spot that you would make that money back. And then going forward, you have solved a huge problem in the CRA without putting a parking garage on the beach, without putting it in someone's neighborhood. I mean, I know there's people that live there, and that's why, you know, I mean, you always have to leave room for the fact that there are people that kind of live close to there, but there's not a whole lot of them. I mean, that's sort of a barren area. Cheryl might know more because she's kind of closer to that area, but I think we need to talk with the county about, you know, something like that, rather than them coming in and purchasing a lot right on Main Street, which we're desperately trying to make look better. So there. That was my, you could do a lot with it. The last month, code enforcement was here, and there was one individual, I know they're not here, but I'm just going to throw it out there. There was one individual that had been cited for a lot of, like 30 different violations of not having a rental property license. This particular owner, I've got, I've kind of mapped it out. I can see all the properties that he owns within the CRA. Several of them are listed on Airbnb. I'm going to be watching them personally, and I've asked Code to kind of watch them during Bike Week because this guy is taking advantage of us. He doesn't have an appropriate rental property license, and it's one of those things that I talked about. We have to hack away at the big stuff that we can do while we're waiting for new development. Let's go in, and of course I take I have the point of view from the neighborhood. What I see every day, we can fix this, and start hacking away at those things. And I think an owner that owns, 20 properties within the CRA, and they look like crumb, and he has code violations, out the yin-yang, that's somebody that we need to tighten up on him. Surfside Village banners.
Yes.
Last month you said they were in the works, and about a year ago you said they were in the works. Are there any? Are there any? Yeah.
Well,
you got one of my neighbors all excited because you told me they were.
Well, I know I've been wanting to do this again because they've been getting faded, and now you can't even read the images anymore. So. We've gone back and forth on exactly how many of these we want to put in and what we have for a budget to be able to put something together. And our contract that was up back in February we had to have that renewed. That is now renewed, and we're going forward. We're also modifying, because of the way that the contract reads, we just have to modify that banner that we have just because of the size of the sign and a couple other details. But otherwise, we're just going forward and attempting to get that done this spring.
Is that a contractor that you use for other banners and signs?
Yes, those are all the banners that we use around the city.
Okay. Because honestly, I mean, I think they should be taken down. They look terrible.
Right.
The ones that are there should
they're going to come
down.
down. They're going to come down as a part of this, and
Okay.
then we're going to put up.
Because I mean, I'll see 200 flag signs. The sand snowman will go up and come down, and the Bike Week ones will go up and come down. Every event, there's hundreds going up and coming down, and we're still waiting for the 20 signs, whatever it is. So.
Well, they're a little bit more of a specialty, and those were already programmed. All of those things that you see were already in the old contract and program.
Well, if you would like me to get a quote from someone on them, from a printer or a banner print maker, I would be happy to do that.
Okay. Right now, we've apparently got a pretty good deal, so we're going to use the contractor we have.
All right, and thank you for doing the information kiosks. Let's talk about East ISB, the $750,000. I'm personally in favor of us getting moving on that. But what I would ask is, number one, I was told that the $750,000 would be is sort of a token that we would put in, and we would be reimbursed later on when the FDOT funds became available. Is that?
They're working on exactly how that's going to be worded, and they have an agreement with DOT, but I haven't seen anything. So
don't know. Okay.
Don't know.
And then will any of that money be spent before we actually have we're waiting for the FDOT plan to say, I pick A, B, or C, and they give us that, and then we start with that $750,000, right? We're not going to start spending it before we have a plan.
No, they'll be a while before that all happens, and goes through a process to work out the agreements for the whole package.
Okay. Now, my next item is an old item, Reed, you and I have talked about. There's two properties on South Grandview. I'm going to pass these along. I want people to look at them and make their way down to Reed. There's 34 South Grandview and 148 South Grandview. When those buildings were demolished and the retaining walls were not repaired, as in the redevelopment area, part of the LDC or wherever I read it, retaining walls are supposed to be put back when they're torn down. And I asked you about when 34 South Grandview came down. I said, will that retaining wall be repaired? And you said when you don't want to repair it because the owner, whoever buys it, will decide what to do with that. Well, it looks like the city is hanging on to it. So I'm wondering at what point because right now we have dirt and grass going out onto the street. It's kind of become a walkway through. We have trash building up, and it's not just because it's Bike Week and busy. I mean, there's beer bottles there right now. There's people dump their stuff, and sometimes the garbage men will pick it up, but they'll park there. They and the ends of the old wall are crumbling. So I think this is one of those things where we have to set our own standards. I can't expect anyone else to clean up their place until I've cleaned up my place. And I think it's the city's responsibility to show those standards. And if we're going to maintain vacant lots in a neighborhood that people have to walk by every day, and their friends have to walk by when they bring them in and take them up to Main Street, or they walk their dog by every day, and they look at a lot with crumbling walls, and if there was a sign there that said, this is owned by the city of Daytona Beach, it would be kind of a shame. So I'm asking if you would please take a look at those lots. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm talking about spending money, but it's inappropriate to leave it like that, in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate the comments,
okay.
but I do want to say that we do have a request in for the rental property we have that's at 148.
A request for purchase?
No, request for our public works to do the work. They've been extremely busy with all the cleanup and everything else with the hurricane. I mean, I can make a bunch of excuses. The point is, they're scheduling to address the masonry work at that one wall where it looks unfinished. Again, there should not be anything that's coming out there, but that also, in terms of landscaping, is supposed to be taken care of so we don't have any movement material. We are not required to, nor do we plan on putting back in a retaining wall ourselves. And we are holding on to the other property you're talking about, which is 34 South Grandview, because that's part of the E-zone redevelopment site. And so that was part of the property assembly in that area. And so at this point, we're not planning on putting that up for sale.
So you're thinking that all those houses along Noble Street and South Grandview, between Harvey and Main, the city is going to purchase all of those?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we will own some, and they could be part of a redevelopment site that as this develops, someone else will come in on the private sector.
Well, what
and
if
acquire
one
properties.
of those owners in there refuses to sell their property?
And I'm not surprised.
Then
that that would be the
will
case.
be like that forever.
We don't understand the word forever in our
Well,
world.
how long has it been like that?
Because things change.
How old is the E-zone?
Not that old yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying from a resident standpoint,
Yes.
I think it's in the city owes us to keep their stuff clean.
I agree about the maintenance,
Okay.
and when things don't get maintained, I agree.
Okay.
We're the ones that need to be the ones stepping up and being the leaders here. Not,
And if
not
I buy a
behind.
property and I demolish it, I don't have to fix my retaining wall either, right?
When you take it down, and you're going to take down a wall, unless it's something that's part of a historic.
Right.
I know of nothing.
We're talking about Grandview retaining wall. It goes all the way down the street, and these two are the only holes in it.
Right.
So
I don't
if I
know
also do it, then I don't have to.
I don't know of a requirement. You have to maintain the wall that you have, but actual removal of the wall, I'm not aware of where it says you have to retain that wall.
All right,
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make it easy. I have no comments.
Okay. That was easy. Same here. Same there. How about you, Dina? Ditto. Okay. I don't have any more questions either, I guess. I had some questions for you as far as the $750,000 coming out of the CRA. I guess I'll put a bunch of questions together for a later time, but just one question. This 750 comes out of the CRA, right? This
That
is
is-
our part of?
This is part of the already budgeted East ISB
Yes.
project.
Okay. But that is coming up from the Beachside CRA.
That
right?
is correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure of that because
You're
I don't
right.
want to put my foot in my mouth. So this year, the 750, by the way, I just want to clarify something. We still got 19 years left on the CRA, right?
I haven't done the math lately, but I
19.
think that's about
Yes,
right.
I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah,
okay.
36.
It's 19. But just wanted, the main question was 750 coming out of our CRA, I'm sorry, the Beachside CRA, right?
It's all, when we say Beachside, it's the Main Street,
Sorry.
Trust
Main
fund.
Street. Yes, exactly.
Right.
That comes out of it. Not a problem.
as
Thank you.
opposed to the South Atlantic.
Yes, sir.
Fund.
Thank you very much.
You're
Any other
welcome.
comments, please? Meeting is adjourned.